Hey there guys, and welcome to the day 6 update for the epic ride home journey. Although technically today is not an epic ride home update. Today is just a general update on my day off from my day as an honorary Ducati Owners Club Egypt member. Out and about riding with the gentleman I was talking to you about yesterday. That was Gabel and Yaya. And we were joined by Ahmed, who rode on his Multistrada all the way from Cairo just to have breakfast and to join us for a ride along the northern Egyptian coast. It's been a brilliant day. It's been a far longer day than I was expecting. I was under the impression we were going out for breakfast and a little bit of a ride around in the morning, and we were going to be doing about 75 kilometers. What it actually turned into was a bit of a hoon around Alexandria, some of the downtown, more urban areas where there was a bit less traffic, and we could enjoy sporty little bikes, sporty little urban machines. The Multistrada had no problems hoiking up the front wheel and pulling some awesome wheelies in the hands of Ahmed, and then we took a little ride down the coast, at least 75 kilometres, to a private holiday residence that belongs to the family of one of the guys we've been out riding with today. So it's been a real mixture of a day. We've ended up spending most of the afternoon sat on a beautiful beach, private beach on the Mediterranean, and sometimes you just have to pinch yourself. I was not expecting generosity or hospitality like this in the slightest, but equally I've made the effort to come this far. When somebody turns around and says, would you like to come and join me and me and my family at our residence, you kind of got to go. It's rude to say no, really, isn't it? But what a day. I've been a bit naughty though. I have squidded. Let's cut to the chase. Let's call it what it is. It's been far too hot, and I've been really suffering with heat rash in some places, and I just couldn't bring myself to wear my armoured jacket today. Even the mesh one, fabric, textile that it is, I just couldn't bring myself to do it. So today I've been out in my Kevlar jeans, my boots, and my gloves, and a t-shirt. Do you know what? I can totally get why people do it. I get it. It's been mid-30s, and it's been wonderful to just bimble along the highway at about 60, 70 miles an hour and just have the wind going across your body and all the way up your arms. Yes, all right, I've got some interesting tan lines now from the gloves and the t-shirt, but you know what? That's just the way it goes. And again, with us being out a little bit later than planned, it was actually dark by the time we started riding back to Alexandria, which wouldn't have been a problem if I didn't only have a smoked visor on my lid. So I've ended up having to ride back in the dark with a smoked visor on. Not something I can recommend. I can say I've done it, and I don't recommend it, because it's easy to say, oh, don't do it all the gear all the time, but unless you've kind of done it and you understand the risks and you understand the dangers, I can now tick that box. It's not big, it's not clever, it makes me a little bit more of a knob than I already was. So that's been today. It's been a great day. It's been a good day off. Tomorrow is hopefully going to get the last of the paperwork sorted out. I need to be down at the shipping office for 9 o'clock, and I don't quite know how it's going to work. I'm going to take the bike to the shipping office. The bike will be there and available for them. Whether we're going to go and sort this traffic paperwork out first, then come back for the bike, or whether it's all in the same place and they're going to ask me to take the bike down to the docks, and basically whilst we're there, if we get that paperwork, we'll just take it down and we'll get the bike loaded. I don't know how it's going to work, so hopefully there will be some updates tomorrow morning to say bike's loaded, having some issues, paperwork faff's all sorted, or not, as the case may be. But I also said I was going to do a Q&A session, and thank you very, very much for the people who have contributed with their questions. Now, I'm going to try and do this in such a way that it's not obvious that I'm trying to read them off my laptop at the same time. So, without further ado, reading these. Smo, what would you say was the biggest mistake you've made in your journey so far? I would say the biggest mistake I've made is underestimating the power of the Middle Eastern heat. I knew when I set off that it was going to be hot. I thought that because I've done quite a lot of riding around in Saudi Arabia that I would be used to the heat, but what I couldn't predict is just how tiring, how stressful it is riding in constant 45 plus degree heat in full gear with luggage front, luggage back, and carrying a rucksack as well, getting off the bike, getting on the bike, gear off, gear on, checkpoints, security checkpoints every 50 kilometers through South Sinai from Nuiba, an entire day's riding where I had to stop every 50 to 100 kilometers, get off the bike, produce all my paperwork, put the gear back on. It was really, really stressful, and if it had been like 35 degrees instead of 45, would have been a whole lot more manageable. So underestimating the power of the sun was definitely the biggest mistake I've made so far. Right, what's Chronicles of Mr. Fish, what's the one piece of gear you couldn't do without on the trip? I think that would have to be the Corbin replacement seat for the Scrambler. The Krieger gear runs a very, very close second because the Krieger gear that I've got is brilliant, worth every single penny. But that Corbin seat that I had specially made in the USA and shipped over to me via the UK, I couldn't have done this trip unless I had a comfy seat. And when I say a comfy seat, I mean a significantly more comfy seat than the standard one. If you've ridden a standard Ducati Scrambler, they're fine for about an hour to an hour and a half. So the sort of time you'd spend on a test ride. Anything more than a couple of hours on any of the standard Ducati Scrambler seats and you are crippled. They are absolutely awful seats, and no word of a lie, if I couldn't have gotten that seat, or if I couldn't have gotten a replacement seat at all, I wouldn't have done this trip. There's no way I would have done this trip on the standard Ducati Scrambler seat. Not a chance. Probably British. How are the testicles coping? As far as I'm aware, they're coping absolutely fine, although they have spent most of the journey dipping in a pool of my own sweat. Tell you what, next time I use them, I will message you and let you know how I get on. Alright? Right. Surely you need your chain adjusting by now. Oh, sorry, this is Ian Cottier. Surely you need your chain adjusting by now. How have you managed this? And also to keep it well oiled in the hot conditions. I had the bike into the Ducati dealer in Jeddah for a full service 2 days before I left. So 2 days? No, 2 days before I went to, before I finished work. So effectively the last trip that I did on the bike before I started this trip was to get it serviced in Jeddah. They did a complete chain clean, they completely lubed the chain, and they did all the chain tension. I have had a can of chain lube in my bag with me, which has been enough to do a couple of lubes just to keep it topped up, but I had to bin that. I think yesterday I binned that, so I'm doing all right. Chain tension's fine. The chain's pretty well bedded in. The bike's got 8,000 and a bit kilometers now, nearly 9,000 kilometers on it now, so chain stretch, she should be fine. I plan on trying to clean and lube the chain once I get into Europe, but it will be significantly easier to find and buy some chain lube and some chain cleaner once I'm in Europe. There are very, very little in the way of biking and biking accessory shops in the Middle East and Northern Africa. Should be a lot easier once I get into Europe. Right. Right, come on. Page down, page down. Here we go. Come on, trying to keep this vaguely professional. Right, Q&A. Matt Rowe, do you have any chafing, and what do you do to solve the sensitive testes with limited access? Yes, I do have some chafing. I have some chafing on my backside, right at the tops of my legs, and it's all right at the moment. It's tolerable. The worst day was the third day, day 3, where I hadn't had any sleep and I hadn't had a chance to rest, and I'd spent all night sat on a seat on a boat or sat around waiting for paperwork to be done. I really wasn't coping with it on the third day, I'm not going to lie. That trip from Nuiba to Sharm el Sheikh to Suez was really unpleasant, and again, off the bike, on the bike. That was probably the only reason why I didn't throw the towel in pretty much there and then in an epic hissy fit, is because I was off the bike and then getting back on it. So I was getting a little bit of respite, but I found a way of coping by effectively riding side saddle. The replacement seat that I have got is quite wide and flat. So what I'm able to do is I'm able to slide my considerably sized arse onto the seat at a bit of an angle. So I've got one full cheek on the bike and the other cheek's basically hanging off. And after about half an hour, when that gets too painful, I switch sides and I give my other cheek a bit of compression, and we just kind of do that. And that saw me through for about the last 3 hours worth of riding on that day. Since then, it's been all right because I've had a decent overnight rest. I have been thinking about getting hold of some E45 just to apply in an evening, but I've not really got around to it. Right, red shoes moment would be regarding the currency situation. How are you managing that? Are you just using your card? I thought of that. My bank account in the UK, my normal everyday bank account, is one of the worst in the UK for charging for foreign currency withdrawals. So I applied for and I managed to get a credit card travel card, which the particular one that I've got was running a promotion that allows me to withdraw currency from a cash machine anywhere in the world completely 100% charge free, so long as I pay off the balance in full every single month. I will not be charged a single penny of interest on any money I withdraw from a cash pool, which is really, really rare for a credit card. And being a credit card, it also means that I get a pretty good exchange rate when it comes to actually charging my account. So I did some research beforehand. I found out what the best deals were. We've got a brilliant thing in the UK called Money Saving Expert, which you can go on there, and he's always listing, the top 5 credit cards for spending in the UK, the top 5 credit cards, loans, mortgages, car insurance tips. It's a fantastic website for the UK market, and I found the best deal for a traveller's credit card, because specialist travelling credit cards do exist. I now have 2, because I've got one for purchases, which I've been paying for all my hotels on. Same thing, no charges if I pay it off in full, which is easy to sort out. And I've got one for withdrawing cash. So I have money, that's not a problem, and I'm not getting charged excessively for it either. Win. Right, Stealth Mafia 11 for the UK, and would you like to ride a Honda from when you get back? I will take that as, would you like to ride a Honda in the UK when you get back? Maybe? Yeah, sure. If it's vaguely interesting, if it's half decent Honda, yeah, why not? I'll give anything a test ride and do a video of it. So there we go. That's all the questions that are currently listed on the comments of yesterday's video. So thank you very much for your questions. I hope that's answered some of them. If any more come in, I will try and sneak them onto an update video from tomorrow, when I confirm that the paperwork's all been done and the bike's loaded onto the ship, ready to go, and I'm about to go and board my plane to Greece. So in the meantime, thank you very much for watching. Masalama.